Hippocrates. All disease begins in the gut. Hippocrates.
Hey everybody, it's Next Level.
Good vibes only.
Darren and Jessica coming at you today talking about
The gut.
the gut, a gut check.
The gut check.
Right.
Your gut is your second brain. So how can we make that connection to the foods that we eat?
And what was your quote? I mean, your quote was pretty like one sentence, but it was powerful. All disease.
Starts in the gut.
Yeah. And this is the topic we could go on for days. We're going to give you just a real brief like intro into the gut, your brain, and how you are impacted.
Yeah. When we think about why the gut matters, the biggest thing is that we want to think about is new research and studies have been really coming out in today's science that our gut is our second brain.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? And it's because it really owns our nervous system. You think about all the foods that we put into our gut has some type of interface or actions towards our nervous system,
Yeah.
right? Caffeine, we can get all jittery. Mm-hmm. If we're not eating, we don't have enough food, our blood sugars, different foods that we eat, the sugar highs, everything that it does that we're eating, the things that we're putting in our body is having some type of response to.
Yeah.
And so if we can start going down this path of starting to think like, how can I really perform at my best if I have an event coming up, or even just what is that? If I really want to work on being the better version of myself, it's going to start with our habits. And some of those habits are going to include what we eat.
That's right. And like you said, that second brain, I mean, I'm sure if you're looking at health and self and gut and what you're eating and your nutrition, you're probably reading that quite a bit now, that your gut is your second brain. Enteric nervous system, which is the second brain, and you have your brain-gut axis, which connects by your vagus nerve. So you literally, your gut...
Vegas, we're going to Vegas.
Your vagus, yes, your vagus nerve. Your brain and your gut are talking all the time. So if you have disease in your gut, which most of the time when things come out and that we finally see that they're there, it's been going on in your body for a lot longer. So if you have some kind of diagnosis, the disease, or you're feeling, a discomfort, or some people when they're eating things that aren't good for them to eat, it comes out in their skin. So they might get a rash, they might get some kind of signs or symptoms. But I'm just saying, by the time you see those signs and symptoms, sometimes it's been going on in your body a little longer. And so as Darren was saying with the quote is, disease begins in the gut.
Yeah. One of the things, you think about how much bacteria that we have in our gut, which is trillions, right? There's trillions of bacteria in our gut, and that really controls and has the influence on our mood, our immunity system, and our overall health. And then kind of what you were talking about with that gut-brain axis is that the gut and the brain are constantly communicating through the nervous system, right? It's going through, it's controlling, again, like what we just talked about, our mood, what's going on with our immune system, and how does that all balance out? And think about like when you're sick, what's the number one remedy? Oh, have some chicken noodle soup.
Yeah.
Or if you're feeling nauseous or something, what do people want to give you? Crackers and some type of like Sprite or 7-Up, something like that to help. And where does it start? It's going into your gut.
Calm your belly.
And so that is then going into your nervous system. So thinking about those foods, and the same thing that how certain foods can have a positive response to in our body. Also, those same things when we have high processed foods, foods high in sugar, how they can also have a possible negative effect into our body, right? And again, it's going to be more negative than positive. And then also, how does this then contribute to our mental health issues, especially that's going on in the world right now?
Yeah.
And this is May, and I believe it's Mental Health Month, I believe.
I think it is. You're right.
So kind of just relating that to this as we're recording this on the end of the month in May. But think about, again, the connection between the gut, the connection between your brain, and then the rest of your body, and how you're feeling and how you're taking on your day. That brain fog, the not thinking clearly. Those are all things that are through our gut.
Yeah. And Darren talked about good and bad bacteria, and we want to make sure our gut microbiome has a balanced bacteria, the microbiome is balanced. And so you can have too much bad and you can have too much good, and it needs to be balanced out. So there's some things that create a lot of inflammation in the gut, which is inflammation in the brain, right? So 90% of our serotonin is made in the gut, which impacts our mood, right? So we talk about digestion. I mean, how many people are listening that have digestion issues? Like either you're taking something to help you digest, or you're constipated, have diarrhea and a TMI, but those are the things that we notice on a more normal basis when our gut is unhealthy, or maybe it's stress, right? We're stressed and then our gut feels it, right? A brain gut connection. I do remember, just like as, a younger version of me, like when I was like, if somebody broke up with me, I would be so impacted emotionally that I couldn't eat. Like it impacted my gut. Like I couldn't eat. But if I'm super tired now, or if I'm like kind of exhausted, all I want to do is put carbohydrates into my body for some reason. So like your brain and your gut are constantly talking, and some people deal with responses and cope and different things differently, but your digestion often impacts your energy level, your focus, and like you said, your mood. So inability to focus, right? Not having a lot of energy. That could be related to your gut and what you're putting in your body. So that gut inflammation creates brain fog, anxiety, irritability, and fatigue. And there's just so many things out there, from IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and SIBO, which is an overgrowth of bacteria, and
Celiac disease.
leaky gut, and celiac. I mean, there are so many things going on. And I honestly, yesterday was just watching something very interesting to me that we've known for a long time. But if you think about it, our foods that we're buying in the store are not making us healthier. I don't want to get too into that either, but we know that our foods, especially produce and things that we're eating, lack nutrients. They lack minerals. They have chemicals in them. And if you really think about the soil, especially here in the United States, our soil probably is not very enriched with natural minerals and things and nutrition that's going to keep us healthy.
Like they used to be.
Like it used to be, right? Yeah. So we know that also within our food industry in the United States, there are very large corporations and businesses that pretty much own all of the things that we put in our body.
Yeah. And I just, you talked about taking it easy, but this is, I think, an issue that we ought to not take it easy on. I think we really need to hold our government to the higher standards of what's going on, what they're allowing in our foods, the way foods are being produced. It's just for profit, right? I mean, this is where I get irritated with our government, because for us really to trust in our government, how can we trust in our government when the Food and Drug Administration allows us certain things that they do in our food products? And this is what drives me crazy, like thinking about fast food. How many people go to fast food? We drive by Chick-fil-A and there's a line, cars deep, all the time at Chick-fil-A. And again, it's not the most healthiest food. A lot of these places, like, again, I'm just calling out names, Taco Bell, Carl's Jr. One of the stupidest commercials I ever saw from Carl's Jr. was the 100% all natural burger. When they start advertising 100% all natural burger, like, wait a minute, well, what's in your other hamburgers then? Are you saying your other burgers aren't all natural? And this is what our government allows, right? They allow 20% of other product in their meats.
Well, people need to educate themselves, because they need to look up what all natural means. It actually doesn't mean that it's super healthy for you.
Yeah, all the stuff around chickens, around free range, cage free, all the stupid labels that we have on these things. I'm going to get irritated right now, and I'm going to just speak freely with, because this is something I think is super important with what is being allowed in our country around food. Look at the obesity rate. 2 out of 3 people are obese. And we're not getting any healthier. And this is the time for you to take action, for you to step up for yourself, do your research. Again, I'm going to even say for myself, I'm not 100% in the shape that I want to be right now. There's still opportunities for me to lean down and be a better version of myself. And what I need to do is be a little bit more diligent around the foods that I eat, around the choices that I eat. Again, I've talked many times. I've given up donuts. I've recently been 7 weeks. I haven't been drinking any beer, which has been awesome. And now I really need to start working on going down that path of decreasing and eliminating any foods with added sugar. And I know when I go down this path and I start doing these things, what am I going to feel? Am I going to feel worse or am I going to feel better? And I know that I'm going to be feeling better. I know by increasing my sleep. I know by 100% dialing in on my fundamentals, which we've talked about, eating, moving, and sleeping, the breathing and meditation, where my focus is, doing the celebrating, gratitude, coming in prospering, knowing that my future is going to be better than my current situation because of my habits that I'm bringing into my mindset right now, right? The thing that we just talked about around meditation and seeing what my future looks like, visualizing my future, visualizing by eating healthy foods, working out and moving and doing these things, where that might lead me. And this, we know when we are eating and moving and sleeping at our best, we're going to perform at our best. And when we're not doing one of those three, we're not going to be at our best. So I just want to make sure on this emphasis of where we're talking about gut health right now, this is probably one of our most important podcasts I'm going to say right now today, is that it's important to own your health. It's important to really start taking ownership of the way we eat and what we're feeding our children, what we're allowing in schools, what we're allowing in our health facilities, what types of foods are we buying that are in our vending machines and stuff like that. Just these foods high in sugar, high processed foods that are just not doing us any good. And as a business, you have a vending machine that's loaded with sugar, loaded with high processed foods. What do you think that's doing for the people that work for you? Is that benefiting them? Are they going to go out and perform at their best because they have this sugar high right now? Or are they going to have this little sugar high and then they're going to crash? We wonder why there's a lot more depression. We wonder why there's anxiety that's higher. We wonder why our mental health issues are increasing. Our healthcare is not getting any better. Our services are not getting any better. And we know that our services and our healthcare system is simply going along with the symptoms. They aren't, there's nothing about wellness. There's nothing about preventative action. They just treat the symptoms. Take this pill, which causes a lot of other things going on in your body. But how can we really come to this part of nutrition and focusing, dialing in, and doing your own research, supporting our local farmers, especially the local farmers that are doing it correctly? And yeah, maybe it costs a little bit more. That's okay. It's going to cost you in the long run later with your health. The goal is to live a long, healthy life, not a short, miserable life.
That's right. So encouraging everyone listening to, hey, if you feel overwhelmed by the information out there, just start somewhere. Start somewhere small where you can start educating yourself on the types of food that you are eating. It's as simple as turning the product around and looking at the label. And some of the really simple things that you don't really need to do a ton of research on, because I don't know if anybody says how great sugar is for you. I think you can decrease your sugar. Pay attention to what foods are making you not feel good. So that's one of your action items, is being able to track what you're eating, but not just tracking what you're eating. Pay attention to how it's making you feel. So I know if I eat too much sugar, I don't feel good at all. My gut is very unhappy, and it will immediately start to tell me. And I can choose to ignore that and continue consuming, or I can go get a glass of water and drink my glass of water and reset myself to make a different choice. So you know yourself the best. If you're eating processed foods and you feel like crud, maybe you eat a lot of sugar and processed foods and you don't know the difference of how to feel good. If you know that, if that's what you're doing constantly, then give yourself an opportunity to educate yourself some more so that you can eat foods that impact your brain in a positive manner, that help your gut. Sometimes you just need to clean up your gut and you need to remove some things from your gut and what you can consume so your body can repair, so then you can restore. And there's a process to everything. You will not in 1 week be able to fully heal your gut. You won't. It's just not going to happen. It takes time. And instead of taking the easy way or giving up super quick because it's difficult and you might feel groggy, you might feel if you're eating a lot of sugar and you take sugar out of your life, you're going to get some brain fog and you're going to feel a little bit like you got a sugar hangover because these are things that you're so used to doing and your body is used to responding to those foods. And so think about fermented foods, think about decreasing the sugar, think about some of the things that are going to make you feel better.
Yeah. I thought you were still going. That was an interesting pause right there. Yeah.
Better, period.
Again, thinking about, those foods that are diverse, rich in fiber and stuff like that. So, number one, go out there if you can. This is where you get, whether it's a nutritional coach, whether it's a lifestyle coach, whether it's the dietitian, whatever it is that you're going to move. But be mindful on the individuals that you're hiring. Interview them. Make sure they have the right thought process as well. All coaches are not the same, right? They all come from different styles, from different backgrounds. They've learned different things. I think that's one thing when I was working in the healthcare field, and they were still teaching the food pyramid, where the foundation of the pyramid was carbohydrates. And we know that's just not the case. We don't want the foundation of our food pyramid being carbohydrates. What we really focus on when it comes to that core fit, when we're talking about changing nutrition, going in a direction to increase the longevity of your health, is that we really look at protein. We think about protein first because that's what our body needs, is protein. Our body needs proteins and fats. There's been studies done where carbohydrates are not as critical as the other two. Not saying that we need to eliminate carbohydrates, but they're just not as critical as proteins and fats, that our body can get away from that. Also, you can even watch the movie, was that TV series Lone Survivor, where they're out in the mountains and, they get the last person out there wins. One of the guys killed a moose. He had tons of meat. He had tons of protein, but a badger came in, raided his storage. And what did the badger take? The badger didn't take all the meat.
He took the fat.
He took the fat. And that's where this guy he started losing weight because he didn't have the fat that his body needed for that storage. So think about that as you go through this process. And then as you go through this process, it's a step by step. It is not all of a sudden that you just go and you stop eating these foods. Start with a process. Look at your cupboards. What's one thing that's in your cupboard that you could look at eliminating, and still enjoy the other foods, but simply start cutting, start chipping away. Like Michelangelo, I hope that's the guy that created David and that statue, right? He didn't just create that statue overnight. It took time for him to chip away and to create that structure and that statue that we all know about. But do the work, and then hire a coach. If you don't have the financial ability in this moment to hire a coach, ChatGPT, go to YouTube. There's tons of stuff out there for you to own your life. And that's what we want, you guys. This podcast, just giving you tips and ideas. You can go back to many of our podcasts that we have from past episodes, sharing tools and ideas that you can take and that you can start implementing to help you simply be better each and every day.
There's two little things that I want to say before we wrap up. But your gut is your mood regulator. Remember that, if anything, before you pop in some sugar in your mouth or drink a can of soda. And it's not just what you eat, it's what you absorb and how you digest life. So remember to get connected to yourself, pay attention to how foods are making you feel. Maybe write it down, check in on your energy, your mood, and your focus, and relate it to some of the foods that you eat. And like Darren said, pick one thing at a time that you might want to eliminate. Usually elimination is more key to some of the nutrition tips. Sometimes you're going to need to bring in something healthy that actually, like Darren said, bringing in maybe more protein. So that's something that you can add and delete. But like he said, do it super simple and just pay attention to your body.
Yeah. And in closing, remember that your gut is your second brain. It's packed with neurons and trillions of bacteria that influence your mood, your immunity, and your overall health. And again, that connection that Jessica made where the gut-brain axis, when your gut is out of balance, it can affect everything from anxiety to depression, right? That you just called out and labeled out. So I just really want to highly emphasize this, and I think this is going to deserve another podcast for us to go a little bit deeper on this, because I do feel like it's super important as just what's available to us right now in the industry around food. It's just, it's despicable. I mean, it's really, I'm having a hard time with this right now because it's so hard to eat healthy. You can go to the health food store and get a protein bar, and that protein bar is shit, right? It's labeled protein. And we think that we're eating healthy because we get these protein bars, but when you break them down, they're using shit ingredients, and it's hard. You got to really, I mean, go to Costco. They got 5, 6, 7 different options of protein bars, and there's maybe 1 or 2 that are actually healthy. All the other ones are full of shit. And that one that I love, I'm just going to lean on it, is the RX bar. 4 ingredients, very simple. If you guys are looking for something to create change in your life, the less ingredients, the better. That's a good way to start. Look at the ingredient list. Look at the sugar. Start with an area where I started was 10 grams of sugar or less, and I just worked my way down. And right now I really focus on 4 grams of sugar. And again, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I do have those treats now and then, but this is something, again, that I am working on, and I'm slowly chipping away at. And there will be a time, just like I said, I haven't had any donuts. 7 weeks clean of any alcohol. And my goal on this podcast is to be sugar-free by choice, not because of disease, because I've got diabetes. I've been forced to do it. I'm making it for my own health choice, to guide myself for that longevity of life, to live my best life.
That's right. So do your gut check.
And take yourself to the next level.
With good vibes only.
Peace.